Well, that's already late because my diary is now full for Friday. I'm sure Azimio must have planned this for the last 1 month or more. And Governor Paranya is a very close friend of mine, and we're very close colleague for very many years. I'm sure if it was within his powers, probably would have sent it over to me. As a party leader, I would have no reason to object or to turn down the invitation. That does not necessarily mean I'm in the alliance, but it would be useful to attend in the interest of camaraderie. Yes, I did support him last time. Yes, that's true. Yes, but that wouldn't be the basis for attending the conference. The basis would be here is a political party that is launching probably its agenda for the next dispensation. And as a party leader, I would attend almost all the other party conventions whenever they do invite us. We've been invited to other countries, like for example Tanzania. Last time when Magufuli was there, and a number of other places we've attended as a political party. There is absolutely nothing wrong in attending political party conventions for various political parties. Just like inauguration or the swearing in of presidents in neighboring countries, every other senior leader would find obliged whenever invited to attend such functions. Yes, that's true. Yes, I don't think it's necessarily quite urgent that governors contest the presidential seat. The same governors would probably be around and get organized within the next 5 years. Others will probably join the Senate. Others would simply be surveying the ground. Remember that the work of a governor is a full-time job. It is unlike the senatorial or parliamentary seats where one can get involved in politics heavily and countrywide politics. A governor is a CEO of a specific county, and he would more. It would be a waste of resources of the specific county where he represents. If he were to be absent, then that would be similar to abdicating his duties. I think it is more important for the governors to pay attention to the nitty gritty and their agenda of development for the counties, they actually lead as of now. Therefore, it will not be most appropriate for governors to immediately dash for presidential campaigns. Yes, it is still on the cards. We've said we are affiliated and we are going to support the presidential candidates of the UDA, basically because they have already pronounced themselves on the question of support to the people in Mashinani, that is in rural Kenya, as well as the urban poor. They have talked about the bottoms up approach and the possibility of allocating more resources to deal with the people at the grassroots. I would like Kenyans to understand that Chama Cha Mashinani is basically meant to push for more allocation of resources to the less fortunate, to the ones who have been ignored over the ages. Our main agenda is to change the budgetary process towards a more friendly budget and not just one that is based on the high sounding economic issues that we have always been listening to since independence. These are economic tools that have actually failed to work or make an impact on the ordinary Kenyans. We would like to hear more about presidential candidates talking about economic tools that are going to spur productivity at the rural areas, productivity in our farms. What are we talking about? How to sort out unemployment all over the country. We must shift away from creating employments in urban centers. We've got to create economic opportunities and therefore create jobs where people actually live, all the way to Garissa, all the way to Lodwar, all the way to Mandera, all the way to Loitoktok, to South Nyanza. We want to see uh, the youth getting involved in economic activities, and we want to see a large percentage of our population moving over to the monetary economy, that they should be part of the tax-paying bracket of Kenyans. So therefore, UDA have pronounced themselves on this question of bottoms-up approach, which we believe they are going to explain much more about how they intend to do that. But of course, as a practitioner in devolution, I know there are opportunities open for that type of approach, because they will have to come out with policy directions and maybe do budgetary allocations, either through conditional grants to the counties for specific policy objectives, or even through the CDF model, in which they can channel funds direct to the constituencies to assist, maybe like the border groups and several others, which we have kept on seeing that we are doing a lot of harambes for them. But I think it's possible for us to do allocations in that direction. So UDA have pronounced themselves on issues that are dear to the Mashinani fraternity. Just like we've never had guarantees from any other government, we have got no guarantee. But we are going to continue to believe that the leaders are promising their serious intentions. I also do agree with Governor Paranya that we need more allocation to the counties, and we are waiting to hear more from either of the political formations as to how much, what percentage they are going to allocate. The 35% was a BBI allocation. BBI is neither here nor there right now. we would like to hear more. What is the commitment on the part of ODM, for example, if that is the other formation or the Azimio, La Umoja, that they are going to allocate a specific percentage. We also waiting to hear the percentage which the UDA is going to commit itself to devolve. I was also making it clear that it is also the realm of the national government to make a policy, a deliberate policy allocation, and that will go through conditional grants to the counties to support specific activities within the counties, and that is separate from the specific percentage on allocation to the counties, because the counties will identify priorities. But in this case, if the national government does allocate for a specific activity within the counties, that will be through a policy and therefore a conditional grant to support that. Of course, national government, any national government, will not be able to do agriculture directly at the grassroots. They will have to pass through the counties. There are one or two areas they may be able to do a little bit, but basically all these things will have to go through the counties. It's only the counties that will have to be supported to develop very clear and strong administrative structures that are going to be able to monitor, nurture, and grow the economy at the lower levels. Yeah, well, I wouldn't really arrogate myself the powers or the ability to predict what could happen next year. But I definitely wish our country well, that we may get an appropriate leader come the next dispensation after Uhuru Kenyatta. The most important thing is that we have to maintain the peace, and we've got to reduce any rhetoric that is likely to damage the peaceful transition from one president to the next. Meanwhile, Kenyans are basically concerned at the moment as to what the economic agenda will be for the next government, and they are eagerly waiting to hear what they have in mind, because there have been a lot of difficulties facing this country up to now. So for now, I wish the Azimio well. I wish the other formations well as well. And the most important group is the Kenyans themselves. I really wish we could get a government that will respect the constitution, continue to allow multipartism to thrive, and also support the independence of the judiciary, and ensure that parliament is able to operate reasonably within the confines that they are expected to do. So we want to hear more from the presidential candidates as to what their real agenda is, as opposed to generalities. We would like to know what specifically do they intend to do on devolution, what specifically do they intend to do on how to spur productivity in Kenya. I'm more concerned about productivity, because we have turned our country into a huge supermarkets for imports. We've also driven our country into serious debts. There is the question of shared resources between the different generations. We are over borrowing. What is the agenda of the various presidential candidates? How do we reduce debts? How do we stop over reliance on foreign debt to fund our budgetary process? And the ghost projects, the excessive investments in things that never quite materializing. So we would like our presidential candidates to now be serious, and start addressing these issues. What do you mean? His what? Everything is possible in politics. Everything is possible. Anything goes. Because the decision will be upon Kenyans. There are situations in which, even I remember in West Africa, a DJ woke up from the studios of being a DJ, and the next thing he was the president of that country. Anything is possible. No, I have not. I have not made any turnaround. I have not somersaulted. I'm still focused on what I've always been focused on. Remember, I joined the NASA brigade because they pronounced themselves very well on questions on devolution and questions of more empowerment to the locals. You will recall that the last time when I agreed to support the UDA brigade, they were the only ones who had pronounced themselves on this question. Um, NASA had started disintegrating, and it was not clear what the policy guidelines were. And I made it clear that I was not supporting the UDA brigade because we have got similar names with their preferred presidential candidates. But basically, because the pronouncement they had made were resonating well with the Kenyans, that we can have an agenda that will now focus on the ordinary person and not the continued rhetoric on economic issues that have never borne fruits. So me and the Governor Paranya, we still continue to stand on the issues we continue to stand for as the Council of Governors, that we still want a divorce system that is strong, that in my view, I've continued to make it clear that I expect that any presidential candidate that is coming on board will have to tell us the position of the Council of Governors. They will have to tell us the position on Loans and Grants Council. They will have to tell us about the position on staff of the counties as to whether they can be declared as part of the national public service. There are several issues that were never finished by Wamwangi. There are several issues that were never finished by Nyachai Charles, and several that were never finished by Cheserem. And these are serious issues which the Council of Governors have. What is the position on the Intergovernmental Relations Committee? What is the position of the summit? Is it going to be recognized? Are the presidential candidates coming on board going to recognize this question? We've got serious questions with the way ODM managed itself. Take, for instance, the sharing of the political parties fund. CCM never received a single cent from the political fund allocation that was done throughout these last 4 years. Yet that was part of the agreement within the NASA brigade. I'm simply saying I'm no longer sure whether these presidential candidates are all going to honor their promises and their commitments. Now, we would like to see serious focus on how to bring up the Republic of Kenya, to get it into the stronger, as a stronger partner in the Committee of Nations. I have not localized myself. I'm still on devolution. I'm still pushing on devolved. No. That is not the issue. I've never been keen on. I would have been keen on that in the previous elections. That the survival would have dictated differently. And Governor Paranya understands very well that I'm the only governor who refused to sign the medical equipment scheme. Myself and Governor Paranya, we stayed on until very late. Because not because we were not being harassed by the establishment then. And if I was very keen on survival, I would simply have coiled my tail and said, yes, I must surrender. But the point, ever since throughout my political career, I have never surrendered to any pressure. I've always followed my conscience and tried to consult and read widely. And what I believe in has always remained constant. And I think Oparanya understands this as well. We have continued to consult with Oparanya even during this post 2017 period. Remember, I supported the BBI proposals and I actually contributed heavily to the BBI process. I did a lot of writings and I forwarded them, and most of the ideas that we had forwarded ourselves were captured in that BBI thing. Therefore, we have always supported any proactive activity. The point as of now is that there is no clear proactive statements coming from the other presidential candidates. Be that presidential candidate, my former colleagues whom we worked together at in NASA, none of them has clearly pronounced himself. You are Paranya, you have not declared you are contesting the elections. You seem to be coiling backwards. That is why I no longer know. So what happens? The only person who has made some statements in that direction is William Ruto. We are only waiting to see the concretization of those ideas that he's talking about. That how then does he intend to achieve this? But if since when he started giving us the indication that he was moving in that direction, and I'm telling you, my colleague governor, is that a lot of Kenyans have started looking at that promise to see the realization of that promise on how to deal with the ordinary Kenyans who have never quite gotten jobs and those who are struggling. So, what is the solution? They are mentioning it. So, we believe, a lot of people believe that something could be coming up in that direction. That doesn't mean the elections are over. You are coming on board, hopefully, in the next few months. You have said Raila Odinga is coming to listen to the Kenyans at that place to see whether he may contest or not. You yourself, you are still waiting for a clear direction from your party as to whether the nomination process will move on. I would like to hear, as soon as you are through with that process, I would like to hear what then do you have for Kenyans. I'm very happy about this particular scenario now because tribalism seems to be receding, and I think this will be the end of an era in which we were deciding presidential candidates on the basis of tribes or conglomeration of tribes. Let us look at ideas. Let us start debating serious issues about turning around the economy and especially bringing back productivity, not making Kenya a huge supermarket for other countries.